Hello friends, a few days back I received a request where a teacher asked to create a quiz app in which he had 10 plus subjects and 50 plus chapters. So I will show you how to do this in Sketchware. So here I have two buttons, student and teacher, and when these are clicked, when teacher is clicked, I move to subjects activity, and here I put an extra key, teacher value yes. And when the button student is clicked, then I put extra key, teacher value no. So we move to the subjects activity. So here in subjects activity I have a list view and a floating action button, and then I have Firebase DB component called subjects and also intent and dialog component. So in on create, if the activity extra key teacher is yes, then the floating action button is visible. To add this floating action button, you can click on code editor and write _FAB here, so that will make it visible or gone. So in case of teacher, this floating action button will be visible and then he can click on this button. But before that, you can see that Firebase DB subjects is added here, and we have not added any stop button here, so it will automatically execute on child added. So in this case, we get the data to a list map called map list and display it in list view 1. In list view 1, in on-bind custom view, I have a text view 1 which displays the subject. So here we use the key subject, and that I will show you. So when the floating action button is clicked, it will display a dialog box with an edit text called edit 1 in this context subjects activity. So when OK button is clicked, then I create a new map variable and I set a string variable push key to subjects push get key. Okay, from the Firebase DB component I get push get key, and that is the push key, and then I put two keys in the map variable. One is subject, which is edit 1 get text. Here also you have to go to code editor and write edit 1. This edit 1 is the name of the edit text. You can get this button, or you can create your own edit text programmatically and add it as view to dialog 1. For dialog 1, you have to write dialog1 dot add view. Here I will just show you the code. You can see it is final edit text edit 1 is equal to new edit text subjects activity dot this, and then dialog1 dot set view. Sorry, you have to write set view dialog1 dot set view edit 1. So this will add edit text. So here you can write edit 1 or get text, and then I put SID, which is subject ID, value push key, and then subjects add key push key value map. Okay, so this will add the data in Firebase database like this. Here you can see first there will be subject, then the subject ID, and after that it will have two keys, subject and SID, and their values will be maths, and their value will be whatever is written there. This subject ID will same as this subject ID. So in chapters we'll add like this. First we'll add subject ID, then chapter ID, and after that the chapter name and the chapter ID. So once the data is added, it will automatically display in on-bind custom view in list view 1. Now when user clicks on any of the items, then on item clicked will be executed, and here we use intent to move to chapters activity, and here we put three extra keys. One of them is teacher, and this is same as activity get extra key teacher, and we put subject ID and subject to get value at position key SID of map list and get value at position key subject of map list. So with this we move to chapters activity. So next we go to chapters activity. This will be similar. Here also we have a floating action button and a list view 1, and in components we have added a Firebase DB component called chapters and intent and dialog components. So in on create we check if the key teacher is yes. If it is yes, then we make floating action button visible, else it is gone. And here we add stop listening for chapters because we have to change it. So we add stop listening for chapter and we set a string variable subject underscore id to activity get extra key subject underscore id, and we display the subject as activity title, and then we set this Firebase DB component chapters to chapters.child subject underscore id. So I hope you understand. So this earlier it was set to this, now we have set it to chapters plus subject underscore id. So we have set it like this, and then we add start listening. So after this, the user on child added, it will get the data to map list and display it in onBind custom view. So in onBind custom view we display the chapter name in text view 1. Now when the user clicks on floating action button, he can add new chapter. So it is same as the previous activity. We display a dialog box with an edit text, and when user clicks on add button, then we set a string variable push key to chapters push get key, and then create new map variable put key chapter value edit text 1 get text, and put key cid which is chapter id value push key, and then add key push key value map. Okay, so in this way we can add chapters, and when user clicks on any of the chapter, it will be on item clicked. So in this case, if the user is teacher, then we move to quiz activity, and if user is student, then we move to start quiz activity. Both are different. So first I will show you, and we put all these extra keys: teacher, subject id, subject, then chapter id and chapter. We have to put all these keys in both the intents. So next we move to quiz activity, which is for teachers to add quiz items. So here I have a list view, I also have a button called text view 1, and I also have a floating action button. Here I've added a Firebase DB component and intent component. The Firebase DB component is quiz. In onCreate, if the person is teacher, then I make floating action button and text view 1 visible, and if the person is student, then I make floating action button gone. Okay, and text view 1 also I will make gone. So he cannot start quiz on its own, he has to click on the chapter to start the quiz. So anyway, after this quiz stop listening, and then I set the subject id and chapter id and display the chapter name as activity title, and then I set quiz to quiz.child subject id.child chapter id. So here we have to add both subject id and chapter id, and then start listening. I will just show you here. So in this way we have to add it. Yeah, so we have to add first the quiz, then the subject id, and then chapter id, and after that we can add the questions with question id. So I'll just show you how to do this here. So once this is added, you can add start listing, and in start listing on child added, we get the data to map list, and in onBind custom view we display the data. So for displaying the data, I'll just show you the onBind custom view for this, sorry, the custom view. So custom view is quiz item, and here you can see it contains text view question, text view num, and radio button 1 2 3 4, and then text view answer. So in onBind custom view, in text view num we display position +1 followed by a dot and space, and in text view question we display the question with key QUES, and then in radio button 1 we display a dot space followed by the value at key A, and similarly in radio button 2 we display b dot value of key B, and then we display value of key C and D in radio button 3 and 4, and in text view answer we display value of key A and S. So all these keys we use while adding the question, so that I'll display later. So when the floating action button is clicked, here we have two buttons. When text view 1 is clicked, which is start quiz activity, so here we use intent to move to start quiz activity, and we use these keys: teacher, subject ID, subject, chapter ID, and chapter. And when floating action button is clicked, then also all these keys are same, only thing is we move to add question activity. There is an add question activity and we move to that. So here the user will first add questions, so we'll move to add question activity. So in view we move to add question activity. So this activity contains these edit text 1, then edit text 2, 3, 4 and 5. All these are for entering the question and options, and spinner 1 is for selecting the answer, and then there is a button 1 for adding the question. So here also we set Firebase DB component quiz, and then in on create we have a list string called options, and we add A, B, C and D to it and display it in spinner 1. After that, for quiz we add stop listening and set a string variable subject ID to activity get extra key subject ID and chapter ID to activity get extra key chapter ID, and set the title of the activity to chapter name. And then we set quiz to quiz.child subject ID child chapter ID, same as in quiz activity. But here we do not add start listening because we do not need to show the contents of the quiz. Okay, we only have to add the quiz. So we have added stop listening, but we have not added start listening here. So next is when button 1 is clicked. So when user enters all the data and clicks on button 1, so here you have to add one thing I have not added, that you have to make sure that all these things, all these edit text 1, 2, 3, 4 and 5 are not empty. So you have to add if else block. Okay, here like if, and you have to add length of edit text 1 get text and all those things. Okay, if length of edit text 1 get text is greater than 0 or 1, you can add something like this. If it is greater than 0, then only you have to perform all these function, otherwise you do not. And you have to add all for all these things. So edit text 1, edit text 2. Okay, and something which can be used is and if length of itna is greater than 0 and length of edit text 2 is greater than 0, so like this you can add it. Here you will add edit text 2. So anyway, after this the question will get added and we'll finish this activity. So when user will finish the activity, he will go back to quiz activity and here he will see the data. And when the teacher clicks on start quiz activity, or when the student clicks on the chapter item here, he will move to start quiz activity. So now we go to start quiz activity. This contains this quiz. So here I have grid view 1 which will display the question numbers, and here this is the question number, this will be question, and these are radio buttons. Their values or their text are A, B, C and D. I have made it like this so that it is easier to compare it with the answer or get the answer. Then I have option 1, option 2, option 3 and option 4. These will display the options. then I have a previous button and a next button and a text view for displaying the total. Then there is a submit button, then text view score is for displaying the score, and that will be displayed when submit is clicked. Okay, this linear is linear underscore score. So when submit button is clicked, this linear underscore score will become visible, and here user can see his score. And then there is button answers. When user clicks on this, he will move to quiz activity. In components, I have added quiz component and intent component. In onCreate, I set a number variable question position to 0, and then I add quiz stop listening, then get the subject ID and chapter ID, and set the title of activity as chapter name. And after this, I set quiz to quiz.child subject ID .child chapter ID, and then I add quiz start listening, and I also make linear score set visible gone. So in on child added, I get the data to map list. Okay, I have a map list and I get the data to a list map called map list, but I do not display the complete map list. In grid view 1, I have set the custom view data to map list, but in grid view 1 on bind custom view, in text view 1, I only display the position plus 1, means the number, question number, which is position plus 1. And if the question number is same as position, if question position is same as position, then for text view 1 the color is pink, else the text view 1 the color is black. And if the position, if the map list contains at position key, use answer. This I'll show later. So after this, on child added, if the length of list map or map list is greater than 0, then I display the question at the question position. Okay, initially I had set question position to 0, so it will display the question at position 0 only if there are any questions, if length of map list is greater than 0. And in text view total, I display the total, which is length of map list plus 1. So I will just show you this block display question. So here I get that number of map list to a map variable, and then in text view num I display the number plus 1, and I in text view question I display map get key QUES, and in option 1 2 3 and 4 I display the keys A B C and D. So this is about displaying questions. So once the questions are displayed here on child added, so once these are displayed, the user can then select any of these radio buttons. So I will go to radio button. Okay, here I have added this toggle radio button to is checked. Okay, so here I have a more block which contains a radio button and a is checked boolean variable. So I set a boolean variable. Here I have a boolean variable is underscore checked. So is underscore checked to this is checked. Then I make radio button 1 2 3 and 4 set checked false. And then for radio button, this radio button, for this radio button we cannot select here, so we have to write underscore radio button here. So I have set it to set checked is checked. Okay, if radio button is checked, it will get checked. If it is not checked, it will get unchecked. Okay, and if it is checked, then I set a key called user underscore answer. Here I have set user underscore answer. Value will be radio button get text at question position of list map list. Okay, and if it is not checked, then I set the value to empty at question position to list map list. So here you can see that I have used radio button get text, and this means here the text of radio button 1 is A, here it is B, here C, here D. So this means that whatever the user selects, that will be set as answer or user answer in the map list. Okay, and we already have answer in the map list. Now we also have user answer in the map list. So I use it in radio button 1, 2, 3 and 4. In all these I have used toggle radio button 2 is checked, and like that toggle radio button 4 is checked. So after all this is done, the user can click on next or previous. So if the user clicks on next, if question position is less than length of map list -1, then he will go to next position and it will display next question. And when user clicks on previous button, if question position is greater than 0, then I decrease the question position by 1 and display the previous question. And next is the button submit. So in this case, I set a number variable score to 0 and number variable n to 0 and repeat for length of map list. If a map list at n contains key user key answer, okay, only in that case, if the user answer equals get value at key answer, okay, here we have to write answer. So if get value at n key user underscore answer of list map list equals get value at n key answer of list map list, this means the answer is correct, and here we increase the score by 1, else we do not increase the score, and every time we increase this number by 1. Okay, and we make linear score visible, and in text view score we display this score. And when the button answers is clicked, then we move to quiz activity with along with teacher, subject ID, subject, chapter ID and chapter, and we finish this activity. Okay, so that's all is there in this. I'll just show you how it works. We'll see how it works. So here is the app, and when I click on teacher, I move to this subjects activity. So here I can add a new subject. So let's add few subjects: maths, science, Hindi, physics, chemistry, and biology. So here I have added these 7 subjects, and let's see if they have been added in the database. So here you can see all these 7 subjects have been added. Here it contains the subjects, then the subject ID, and then again the subject ID and subject name. So now when we click on any of these, like when I click on maths, here it will display maths at the top, and here I can add chapters. So here I will add some chapters like sum, difference, multiplication, and division. So now I have added 4 chapters, and then when I click on any of these, I move to quiz activity. So here when I click on start quiz, since I do not have any questions, here it will not display anything. So I move back, and here I will add a new question. So let's add a question: 56 plus 78. Okay, option 1, 128, 130, 134, 140. And for answer, the correct answer will be C here, and then I click on add question. So here it gets added, and then I can add one more question, like let's add 3 plus 9 and few options. So we should add different numbers, 12 and 14. We'll make this 12 and this one 14. So here the correct answer will be D, and we'll click on add question. So here also you can see these questions have been added, and it displays the correct answer also. Here you can see the correct answer is D, and in this one it is C. Actually we can make it such that it displays the correct answer by selecting the toggle button. Okay, so I'll add one more question. Let's add 8 plus 6. So now I have added 3 questions, and when I click on start quiz, here you can see it displays 1 2 3 items at the top, and yeah, I have not set the number of items for this thing, which is the grid view, so that you have to set. But anyway, here I have this option 56 plus 78. So suppose I select the correct answer here and then click on next. Yeah, it is displaying it wrong. Total questions 4, it is 3. So anyway, this is 9 plus 3 is 12, and 8 plus 6 is 14. So I have selected 2 answers correctly, and now I will click on submit. So here it displays your score is 2, and when I click on see answers, I go back to this activity. Okay, so that's all in this video. Thank you very much for watching this.